When you think of horror games, I'm sure a couple will come to mind, like Resident Evil 7, The Evil Within, and maybe even Amnesia. But none of these compare to how scared I was when I played this game right here. If you couldn't tell, I'm going for every achievement in Outlast and its DLC. PSN Profiles rates Outlast a 7 out of 10 difficulty, and Outlast Whistleblower a 3 out of 10. I put this game off mostly because it didn't have a platinum trophy. You're probably asking yourself, why am I going for achievements in a game that doesn't even have a platinum trophy? Well, I'll tell you. It's because I feel guilty going for the second Outlast game's platinum if I didn't do the first game. Outlast base game has a total of 8 trophies. I already unlocked 6 of them when I played the game for the first time when I was a little jit. And Outlast Whistleblower has 6 trophies. I have unlocked none of them, because I was too scared to go and play the game after the first one traumatized me. Now let's get on with the game. Outlast starts with this super long unskippable cutscene where your character Miles Upshur is driving to Mount Massive Asylum after receiving an anonymous tip that some bad things are going on in there. You grab your trusty camera that thankfully has night vision and you set your sights on getting inside and figuring out what happened. I also feel I should mention there's no weapons in this game at all. You have no gun, no taser, not even pepper spray.
Are you fucking dumb?
Since the front door was locked, the only logical thing to do was to climb this wooden scaffolding and then climb through this window. If this was me, I would have been gone, but for some reason, we just decided to keep on going. I remember this jump scare and I knew it was gonna happen, and it still scared the shit out of me. I keep going through the room and then I find this guy with a hook in his chest, and somehow he's still alive. He warns us to get the hell out of there, and we just don't listen.
Little fake.
As you can see, we get thrown out a window by the no-neck, big-back nightmare. I start to wake up and I see some creepy-ass priest looking at my camera.
I see. Merciful God, you have sent me an apostle. Guard your life, son. You have a calling.
Bro, what are you talking about? We start to come to and we wake up and we're in the lobby of the asylum. Our main objective now, which it should have been from the start, is to leave the asylum. We gotta find a key card to unlock the security room and open up the main doors. While doing this, we get jump scared by some random creepy Russian sleep experiment looking dude. I thought he was trying to hurt us, but in reality, he was just really scared of everything that's going on. Back in the security room, we start to access the security system, but of course, the priest we met earlier had other ideas. He turns the power off, so now we have to go into the basement and turn it back on. On top of that, no-neck, big-back nightmare, aka Chris Walker, shows back up. I sprint out of that room as fast as humanly possible, and I get into the basement. Down here, I have to push 2 buttons and flip the power switch back on while also being chased by a crazy bald dude. I finally make my way back to the security room where, guess what? We get drugged by the creepy priest, aka Father Martin, and he makes us watch these SWAT guys get beat up and thrown around by Ant-Man. I wake up locked in a padded cell. Thankfully, this nice man unlocks the room for us so we can get out. Once I get out, I meet these twins, who I can't show because they decided to walk around in their birthday suit, so these two will do since they pretty much look the same. Later, I find this guy doing some crazy things to this dead body. After witnessing that, I see a patient who got his hands on some ketchup and wrote where I'm supposed to go for me. After adventuring through the asylum a little bit, I see Chris rip off some dude's head. I go to grab the key card to unlock the showers and have to climb out a window and hang from the building to get around the 2 twins from earlier who were hiding in the dark.
Look at this dude.
I go through another window and I land on this giant pile of bodies. It is absolutely
Disgusting!
I go up these stairs and then Chris pops out and I run like hell. I make it to this crevice and I can slip through to get away. I somehow end up in the sewers where I have to drain water so I can use this ladder, but I'm also being chased by Chris again. I turn the first wheel to drain the water and I decide to hop in a locker because I hear Chris coming. And look at this bullshit.
Gotcha, bitch!
I turn the second wheel and fully drain the water, and I zoom over to the ladder and successfully get away.
You sure about that?
I find myself in a really dark part of the sewer, where I can hear Chris breathing and moving through the water. I kinda panicked and missed the jump on the ladder. I was able to do it on my second attempt and escaped without getting a scratch. I kid you not, as soon as I make it out of the sewers, I immediately have to start running from these crazy dudes who are chasing me. I have to push these objects in front of the doors to hold off the enemies, while I move another object to open that door. I totally got away on my first attempt. A voice over the intercom tells me to get inside this food elevator to get away from the enemies that are chasing me. And I did. Now that I'm out of harm's way, I have nothing left to fear. I think I spoke too soon. This guy's name is Richard Trager, but I'm gonna call him Doc. Doc hit me with that 2-piece and brought me to this really dirty bathroom. I don't know what it is with people in this game and not wearing clothes. Like, I know he's got an apron on, but his whole booty cheeks are hanging out. Not only that, he cuts 2 of my fingers off, and he slaps me. If I was there, bro, we're fighting. Like, I don't care.
You'll do nothing.
You do fucking nothing.
I wiggled out of the chair and went to hide. After what felt like forever, I make my way to this room that had the key I need to unlock the elevator. I use the key and start going down the elevator when guess who shows up to try to take me out one last time. Luckily, Miles actually decides to fight back for once, and the doc ends up getting crushed. He died with his cheeks hanging out. I run into Father Martin again, and he tells me to meet him outside. Along the way, you'll never guess who I run into again. Thankfully, like last time, I was able to get away again. I finally get outside and I go inside this tiny little building that has the key I need to the maintenance shed. Then I finally meet the wall rider, the thing everybody has been talking about. I get to this little area where Chris is and he starts chasing me, and I was panicking like crazy. I was so lost and could not for the life of me remember where I was supposed to go. Looking back now, it's kind of obvious where I was supposed to go, but when you have a 300-pound predator chasing after you, critical thinking goes out the window. I find Father Martin and he tells me to get to the upper floor so we can chat. And I swear, if this lard tells me to find him one more time, I'm going to lose my mind. I find this door that is locked, of course. The key we need is strapped to the security guard who is crammed into his laundry chute. I needed to find 3 fuses to be able to even work the laundry chute. And side note, how the hell did this dude do this? He like airbended me back to him. I grabbed the key and unlocked the door to make my way upstairs, where I ran into the birthday suit brothers. I activate my stealth ability and sneak past them. I try to make this jump, but the wood broke and I end up losing my camera for a little bit. I head downstairs to where the camera fell and I find the camera, but it's cracked. Thankfully it still works though.
Oh my god, bro. Oh, hell no.
I finally, after hours of chasing him down, catch up to Father Martin, and for some reason he's pinned to a cross, and what's even crazier, he has one of his followers set him on fire.
Oh, okay. Oh, you crazy.
I get in the elevator to take me back to the lobby where I can get out and be free, but no. I get taken down to the basement level of the asylum. I reluctantly push on and open the door, which takes me to where we saw those soldiers get absolutely manhandled by Casper. My good old friend the wall rider appears out of nowhere and starts chasing me down this hallway. My heart was racing because I forgot this part even happens. As I make it down this long hallway, I get to this door, and guess who is waiting for me on the other side?
What's good, Nika?
Chris throws me on the ground, and right before he's about to finish me off, the wall rider comes and helps. He starts bullying bro, and I kind of felt bad for him.
Do something! Do something!
I make my way through the underground lab, and I run into the man behind it all, Dr. Rudolph Weirnick, who explains that Billy Hope is the host of the Wall Rider, and he tells me to shut down Billy's life support to stop him once and for all. I make it to the lab where I see the machine that Billy is hooked up to, and then I see what he looks like, and bro, why do they have him positioned like that? I get to the first valve so I can turn off his life support fluids. Then I rip out the wires powering the generator. Now all I had to do was disable Billy's life pod failsafe and put an end to him once and for all. But before I can do that, Billy decides to pay me a little visit. He grabs me, throws me around, and then drops me to the ground from what looks like 5 to 10 stories up. And I just get up and brush it off and then continue on my mission like nothing happened. I make it back and I'm able to turn off his life support, and Billy starts absolutely tweaking in his little pod. Before Billy dies, he decides it'd be fun to throw me around a little bit. Bro picks me up, and I honestly can't tell what he's doing. I think he's sticking his fingers into me or choking me out or something. Right before I was about to meet Betty White, Billy finally dies, and I am free. Or so I thought. As I'm about to leave, I see Dr. Rudolph and his goon platoon open up the doors, and
You have become the host.
Jesus God, what is that thing?
yeah. If you couldn't tell from the sounds of bloody murder, Miles became the new host of the Wall Rider. This playthrough I went for the Pulitzer Trophy, which is collecting all documents and recordings in a single playthrough. And now it was time to move on to the insane run. I get past the first real threat and turn the power back on. I get past this other dude who ended up hitting me, but I was able to get through him. I sneak past the twins, and I end up making it down to the sewer without much trouble. And then this shit happens. Yeah, I kind of expected this to happen, so I really wasn't too butthurt when I died. On my second attempt, I make it back to the sewers. The only difference is this time I actually got out. Yeah, you're supposed to actually make the jump and not mess up like I did. I literally was shitting my pants. I thought I was gonna die. I get to a part in the game where I was the most afraid I was gonna mess up.
Hello there.
I didn't really practice this part that much, but surprisingly, it was really easy, and I made it through without much trouble. With a few close calls, I make it to see Father Martin burning once again. I drop down from this vent and I hear Chris's fat ass coming towards me, so I go to hide in this bathroom. And then Chris finds me. I'm so close to the end, I beg him for mercy, and he does not listen. On my third attempt, I make it back to the same exact spot, and you won't believe the bullshit that happened to me.
Still close. Still close.
Yeah, I was extremely pissed. I don't have any footage of my 4th and 5th attempt because I died really early on and my dumbass forgot to hit the record button. My 6th attempt was going to be my last one for the night before I got off. But then I had done it. I was now in the end game and I was so nervous that I was going to die and mess up and have to do this again.
But
I'm able to make it back in one piece, thus finishing the run and earning me the lunatic trophy. Now, time for Outlast Whistleblower. Like any great DLC, this game starts with a doctor licking my ear. In this DLC, you play as Wayland Park, the guy who sent Miles the email about Murkoff's experiments. We actually get to see Wayland send the email, and right after we are called to go fix a software issue, where we meet somebody who may or may not become super important to us later. I get back to the room where I sent the email, and Murkoff's executive Jeremy Blair is there waiting for me. He basically tells me I messed up bad and I'm beyond cooked, right before he has the security guards knock me out.
2 hours later.
I wake up and everything around me has gone to shit. Then I see this guy get ripped to shreds by the wall rider. Right after witnessing that, I grab my camera. After that, I'm exploring a little bit and I try to find a way out, where I eventually run into this weird creepy cannibal dude who tries to cook me alive. Luckily for me, there's a broken wall in the back and I'm able to break out. I eventually make it to this part of the game where I have to turn the gas off that's blocking a door. I'm also being chased by that cannibal guy. I died to him twice. I couldn't figure out where to go, but eventually I did and I popped the first trophy of the game. I get outside and then I run into the 2 birthday suit brothers from the base game. Thankfully they aren't really a problem. I finally get to a radio so I can call for help, but of course something would go wrong and Jeremy's punk ass shows up and destroys the radio and then hits me in the head with a baton. Jeremy hears something coming, so he gets up and threatens us and then he runs off like a little bitch. And an old friend of ours decides to come and pay us a little visit.
Come on, man, what the fuck is you doing, cuz?
After I escape Chris, I get outside and see this electrical fence that I have to turn off with a switch. But when I get down here, I see this dude.
I'm taking it.
I turn the power off, earning me the 2nd trophy for this game. And I get outside and some jackass turns the power back on. So I have to go back down and turn it off, and then I'm met with him. I get on top of a security tower where I end up jumping to try and make it across under the roof, and I end up falling and dying. Just kidding. After I survive the fall somehow, I keep going, and then I'm met with one of the most disgusting things I've probably ever seen from a video game. I'm gonna blur it because you can either look it up for yourself, or see it when you play the game.
Step back, I think I'm gonna vomit!
Yeah, that's Eddie Glutskin. Remember him? The guy from the beginning of the game? Eddie is a very psychotic guy, and the random people we see throughout the game call him the Groom, and basically what Eddie wants to do is turn me into his perfect woman. I escape Eddie for the first time, and I fall down this elevator and end up injuring my leg, so now I have to walk around the asylum with a limp, while also being chased by a guy who wants to do a sex change operation on me. I run into Eddie again, and I'm forced to get into a locker to progress the story. Eddie of course knows I'm in the locker, and locks me in it and takes me to his experiment room, where I get to see other victims he's trying to turn into a woman. And yeah, I'm not joking about that. He literally wants to make us into a chick. I wake up on a table with my schmeat hanging out, and Eddie's trying to use a table saw to cut it off. But thankfully we are saved by some random inmate. This dude literally just saved our family jewels. I wish I knew who he was so I could thank him. I put my clothes back on and grab my camera, and then I'm off. I eventually get another chase with Eddie once again, and I jump out a window where I think I break my leg. I'm not entirely sure because I'm able to still get up and move around, but it looked like it hurt pretty bad.
Yeah, no shit!
I crawl through this vent, and I'm met with some crazy-ass collection of bodies. House of 1,000 corpses type shit. I don't get how bro had the time to do this. It's been like 2 days tops. Anyway, I get to this fancy little wedding room Eddie made for me where the key I need to escape is at the very end of it. Of course he starts chasing me, but I'm way too fast for him, and I make it back to the vent and successfully get away.
One more. I tried, and I tried. You all betrayed.
I knew that felt too easy. Eddie tries to hang me because I didn't want to be with him, but the ceiling starts to break and Eddie is losing grip of the rope. He gets caught on a rope and ends up getting stabbed in the gut and died. But not before telling me how much he loves me, after he just tried to kill me multiple times, because that makes sense. I'm finally home free, and along the way I get to see what's left of Traeger after Miles packed him up. It's one of my favorite Easter eggs in this game, and it's just so cool to see. Not long after, I popped the trophy for collecting my last document in the game. Then I recorded that asshole dying on the ground for my last recording, popping me another trophy. Right before he was about to kill me, the wall rider comes and saves the day, and he just tosses this dude around like a rag doll. Then he pops like a balloon.
Brutality.
After almost dying, I get outside and I get inside Miles' Jeep, and when I do, I look out and I see what's left of Miles when he became the host of the new wall rider. And then I speed off, and I'm finally free.
I need you to understand the bridge you're crossing here. You will do irrevocable damage to the company. You might even get close to something like justice. But once you click upload, your life is over. Everyone you love is fucked. But it's the right thing to do.
And with that, Murkoff is cooked. Miles made the right choice, even though he hesitated a little bit at the end. And that was Outlast Whistleblower. And it was such a good DLC. I earned another trophy for beating the game, and now all I had to do was beat the game on insane mode. The game starts like normal, you know, we get licked. Billy runs over and he begs for my help. We get caught by this douchebag who has his corrupt ass cops throw us on the ground. Then I gotta start my insane run. And I do not want to die, because I do not want to see myself get licked again.
I just can't do it. I can't take this shit no more, man.
I make my way through the hospital without much trouble. I say what's up to Frank the cannibal.
What's up? What's up?
You know, he tosses me into a furnace, I get out, best friend activities. I get outside and then proceed to flip the switch to turn the electricity off. My other friend, the Platinum Puller, turns it back on, so now I gotta go back down and flip it back off. And for doing that, he hits me. Everything so far had been a cakewalk. I get to Eddie, he says what's up through the door.
Kiss me on my hot mouth. I'm feeling romantical.
He kidnaps me and then he drugs me. I take a nice long nap and then I wake up to me on the table. You know what happens next. I'm not going to explain it again. Then I get to the final stretch. I was super nervous I was going to mess up. This was my first attempt, and it would be so cool if I could beat it on my first attempt and not have to do it again. You know what happens. Eddie tries to force me to marry him. We say no. He doesn't like that, and then he chases me. I get away. He finds me again, hits me a few times, tries to hang me, and then ultimately he passes away. Boo-hoo. Now, this next part is where I was the most afraid. Not because there were enemies or anything, but because Red Barrels has a glitch that if you go too fast through this door, your game will crash. And on a mode with no saves, it would basically mean you gotta do the whole thing again. Thankfully, I had prior knowledge of this from watching the Gray Scott have to redo the run a few times. So after a quick dinner break and a bathroom break, I come back to see if I waited long enough. As you can see, no glitch. I'd basically done it. There was nothing else out here that could kill me. So I make it outside, I release the evidence into the world, and that was it. I beat Outlast Whistleblower and earned the final trophy for beating it on insane mode. On my first attempt, mind you. And that's the end of the video. Thanks so much for watching. This was a really fun game to do, and I'm so glad I was able to do it. And yeah, you know what's next.